Welcome to the Rialto Marketing Podcast. Today's episode is a revenue acceleration series interview where we talk to seven-figure B2B professional service firm owners that are actively trying to grow their business and get to the next level. We talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly so that you can learn from their experience. Hi, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing, where we believe you must remove your revenue roadblocks to accelerate growth, and marketing shouldn't be difficult. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. I am really excited to have Logan Edmonds from Tabernacle Technology Solutions with me today. Logan, welcome, and thanks for being here, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tim. Glad to be here.
Yes, I am excited to dig into this with you. I always learn things from these interviews, so I am looking forward to it. Before we jump in, I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions if you're ready to jump in.
Go for it. Let's do it.
Okay. So very quickly, what do you do and how long have you been doing it?
Okay. I am the CEO of a cybersecurity and IT company. So cybersecurity is the name of our game. And we're actually about 20 days short of our 5-year anniversary. So the CEO gig, I'm going on year 5 for it.
Whew. Congratulations. Yes, that is a definite milestone right there.
Absolutely.
What's the most important lesson you've learned in those 5 years?
Oh man, I was talking to you earlier about this. I think Chris Voss, I'm reading a book by him right now called Never Split the Difference. He phrases it up a really good way. When you go in, you think you have your goal, never be so attached to that goal that you can't take an offer for something better. I've learned that being mentally flexible and being able to adjust as the market adjusts gives you opportunities you never dreamed you might have, but are way better than anything you previously had in your mind.
Yeah, I love that, man. One of my favorite quotes is flexibility is the key to stability.
Mm-hmm. I would say knowing when to flex and knowing when not to. That's probably a better way of phrasing that, what I just said.
Yeah. So, dude, I know growing a business can be tough sometimes. When you run into some of those roadblocks, those hurdles, do you have any kind of mantra or anything motivational that you say to yourself or you share with your team to help push through those times?
Yeah. I have one that's been codified, and I can't take credit for it because it was shared with me, and I loved it, called Fuel the Jet. Challenges and overcoming challenges are the fuel that fuels the jet of our business to go to greater heights. So whenever we're going through a challenging period, or I feel like I'm up against a new kind of roadblock, just got to keep reminding myself, I'm fueling the jet. When I get over this, I'm going to fuel the jet, and it's been good for me.
Yeah, that's a great one, man. I love that. So when we talked in the pre-interview, you've got your niche is tech-based startups. And I always, when I talk to people that have a niche, I always like to dig in a little bit because this is something that a lot of people struggle with. How did you choose to focus on this market?
Oh man, you had to ask me that question because I wish I had like a pretty answer. I actually stumbled into it a little bit. So back when I was starting out 5 years ago, and I had no idea what the heck I was doing, right? Like I knew I was good at tech. I come from a background where my dad was an entrepreneur, so I knew something about being an entrepreneur, but I just didn't realize how deep this rabbit hole goes. So I wasn't niched yet. I was taking clients wherever I could find them. And I hooked up with a really cool biotech startup. They're still a customer to this day. And then they started introducing me to their investors and then some of their sister companies. And it sort of just snowballed. Before I knew it, I had a pretty decent little book about 6 companies of business that was biotech and tech startups. And I realized I love it. I love the culture. I love the can-do attitude. I love how they go from being like 2 people to 100 people in a year's time. Like the scaling is a real challenge. And I said, hey, these are the kind of customer, and we liked working with them, right? Like I said, fuel the jet, right?
Yeah.
I like to overcome challenges. I like to come over adversity. It's what gets me up in the morning and says, I'm going to fuel this jet. That's very prevalent in that startup community, right? You get to meet those people who are just right in that same headspace as you are. And that's a great place to be.
Yeah. It's interesting, man, because I think it's totally okay that you stumbled across this. I mean, that happens to a lot of people. I think early on, it's just important to choose something that you're going to focus on, especially when you don't have any experience. It's hard to, unless you're coming from prior experience and know a market really well that you want to serve, it can be really hard to choose.
Absolutely.
We got to make choices and test it, right? It's just a choice for now. It's not a choice forever. So, I think it's important to go into that. But as you've gone down this path and you've chosen to really focus on this particular market, are there any particular benefits that you've seen in doing that come to mind?
Yeah, I think I kind of touched on it earlier, but I can elaborate and flesh that out a little bit. A lot of businesses in different verticals, there's nothing wrong with this, right? They grew at very steady, predictable increments. Like we're going to add a certain head count every year. We're going to grow at this level, and that's fine, right? But I'm the kind of person, and my team, for the most part, are the kind of people that enjoys unique challenges. They want, like I said, that fuel the jet thing is a really big part of our culture. And when the startup world, you are scaling, right? Like that's what you are when you're a startup. Your goal is to scale. Your goal is to grow fast. What was it? Mark Zuckerberg, you see famous for saying over Facebook, move fast and break things, right?
Yeah.
And that brings its own unique set of challenges that for me, and I think for the majority of my team, find uniquely fulfilling. And that it's almost, we love working with them, don't get me wrong, but it's almost as much for us as it is for them, right? There's just a synergy there that we love. Have
you found it easier to identify places that you should be to get in front of those people?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't have a clue of what I was doing when I decided, hey, I'm going to niche in this, right? Like I had a decent little book of business, but where do you go? Who do you talk to, right? And so one of the biggest things I really spent some time, it took me about a year and a half to figure out, was just talk to people who are in that space, not necessarily in tech, but in that startup space. Like, hey, where do you congregate? Where do you go? Where is the places that you find value in community? And so we identified conferences, certain trade shows, special LinkedIn pages, just going down a list and saying, okay, this is where we need to build relationships in. This is where we need to make a presence in. And that expedited a lot of things for us.
Yeah, it's one of the things when we work with clients, we create what we call an ideal client GPS, right? It's just a list of where you can go to find those people. And when you're very specific, it's much easier to create that list, but it just makes sure that you're fishing where the fish are rather than
Absolutely. I have nothing against people who go to their chambers of commerce and build relationships there. That's a very valid stroke. But in the startup world, they're not really in the chambers of commerce. That's a great example I can give you. I'm not fishing where the fish are there. If I go in there and build it there, don't get me wrong, there's some great people there. It's just not where I want to be if I want to be present in that vertical.
Yeah. Another example, I had a conversation, this is probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, with a residential architect who niches in, log homes and, cabins. And, he was telling me, he's like, man, my market, they're all second homeowners. Somebody told me, that I should be doing a podcast. And I'm like, dude, my clients aren't listening to podcasts. I already know that, right? And part of that is really it's just a great example of he understands who his ideal clients are and how they're getting information. Because if you don't understand that, it's really easy to make a mistake like that where, man, he could be spending all kinds of time and money on creating a podcast that does absolutely nothing for him. So
yeah, no, that's totally valid. You have to know what your market's interested in. There's a guy, I won't mention him by name, who's in my market, who's in a very similar space to I am, and we trade notes. He's been someone I was introduced to in the last 8 months, and we just really hit it off. And I took a lot of appreciation from him because what he's done is he's figured out not even just the places, but the specific individuals. Because in the startup world, there are certain movers and shakers. And he figured out he could sit them down for a half hour and treat them to like a speakeasy lounge style thing, which everyone this time world right now likes. Like, have you ever gone to this place, like a quiet place, those lounge chairs? And he would just invite them to come out and he'd pay for a drink and chat with them for a half hour. And he made incredible inroads at that. And I'm like, I'm spending all this money on this other stuff. And here's a guy for the cost of a couple drinks is just making relationships that are carrying forward over and over and over. And I'm just like, my mind was just blown. I was like, oh my gosh, I must learn from you, Sensei.
I love it. One of the marketing challenges that you mentioned struggling with is generating content that resonates with your ideal clients and that gives them value. Yeah. A lot of people struggle with this. What have you done to try to solve this problem?
Yeah. So, I mean, we do believe you're going to give me an email address or you come to my webinar, like I need to give you something of value. So twofold. We do webinars. We just started on that path though, so I won't advertise too much on that yet. We're still working through our process. But one of the things that we found is we're a cybersecurity company, right? And I think every business owner on one level or another has at least heard of cybersecurity, is cognizant. So one of the things that we've started doing in our newsletters and our various other marketing avenues is just offering, hey, here's 6 things that you can do yourself without paying us a cent to go help yourself with cybersecurity. And they're valid too. They're not just making stuff up, fringe stuff. This is 6 very applicable things that are not hard to implement that can make you 70, 80, 90% more secure as a company. And giving that to them in exchange, like just to show them that, hey, we're not just here to do the hard sell, right? We want to give value back.
Yeah. It's, to me, this challenge all goes back to just understanding your ideal clients and how they're getting information. Once we understand how they're getting information, where they're accessing it and what's important to them, then it becomes a lot easier. It's not, it's work, right? You still got to put a lot of work in, but it becomes a lot easier to identify what type of content you need to create and what types of channels you need to be in to get in front of them. Because like you said, and again, I don't know your market super well because it's not one I play in, but startup community is, it's a pretty specific community, and a lot of it is, as an outsider looking in, seems to be very, relationship driven.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these guys, you're trusting. A startup is such a risky thing to do. No matter, and anybody who started a business feels this on a gut level, right? Like no matter what kind of business you're starting, there's always an element of risk. And when you're talking about scaling rapidly, when you just started the company, that risk is compounded. There are certain people that are always going to be trusted in that community who, have done this, who are experienced, who know and are relied on, right? Like they're relied on to give guidance. And so, developing relationships with those kind of people is critical to surviving in the sphere.
One of the things that you touched on when we first connected was that a while back you chose to invest in building your leads pipeline from, that was just referrals to a more robust model. Why did you decide to do that, and what channels are you focusing on to do that?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it. I was just gonna.
Oh no, you're fine. Great question. So I kind of sat down, and we talked about this earlier. This whole concept of jack of all trades, master of none, right? Like it's more than just marketing. There's a lot of things in business that you need to decide. Are you going to be a jack of all trades, master of none, or are you going to be a master in something that delivers excellent service? And when it comes to our company values, the master of excellent service resonates above and beyond with that. So we said, look, we do certain things really well. We have a great business model, and our customers love our value. They come back to us. We're not the cheapest guys on the block, but they keep coming back to us because we do certain things better than anybody else. And that's where our strengths are. So when we go to customers, sometimes they're not interested in that stuff. And we've got to be okay with that because we've chosen to be a master in our strengths and to offer that with the customers that resonate with those values and those strengths. The problem is when you operate from a mindset of scarcity, right? And the referrals people have, it's very hard to pull off, right? If you're not sure where your leads are going to come from, or if there's even going to be more leads down the road, how are you supposed to be confident enough to say, okay, we're a good fit, or no, I need to walk away? That's part of being a business owner. We realized we needed to invest in our leads pipeline, so we didn't operate in that mentality of scarcity, that we operate in a mentality of abundance, and we could pick and choose the best partners because it's not just us being elitists. We really do think that a good partnership at the beginning where everything's lined up ends up with happier customers, and happier customers is better for all parties involved. And that's what we just value more than anything.
Got it. Yeah. So it sounds like you wanted to get to a place where you had more choice.
Absolutely.
Between, we're generating more than enough leads where we can now pick and choose the types of clients that we work with.
Absolutely. And to be clear, it's for their sake as much as ours, right? Like if we're not a good fit for you and I take you on because I don't have enough leads, it's just gonna be a bad time for both of us, right? Like
it's not gonna be good.
And we're more of in our business model, just to give you context, and you talked to a couple other people in this sphere. It's much more of a longer term relationship is what we shoot for. Like we only get, even with a full leads pipeline, 20, 30 leads a year kind of deal. Like we are looking for the long haul. So finding that person that we have a good relationship with and we synergize with well, it's absolutely critical for the longevity of our business.
Yeah. So what channels or tactics have you started to use at this point?
I mean, people are going to hate me for this, but email is still absolutely 100% relevant in this day and age when it comes to marketing, especially in the spheres I operate in. And there's a key difference in the kind of email marketing you can do, right? Like we believe we use drip campaigns with valid, actual valuable materials as opposed to just the scammy, hey, you should call me so we can set up a sales talk, right? Like that's not the kind of thing we're talking about here. I'm talking about, hey, are you interested in this? Okay, you are. You've obviously opted in. Well, let me give you a newsletter. Let me give you some things of value. Let me kind of teach you about the sphere of cybersecurity or operational efficiency in IT or whatever your primary interest is in that. And then when you're ready to talk, if you're ever ready to talk, you will know that I've already given you something of value even before we've ever picked up the phone. Right? Yeah. Like you know that the stuff we've given you is good. And so we do a lot of stuff in that regard. We're in social media like everyone, but we see that more as a, hey, we're alive over here kind of deal, right? Like it's not a leads generation, but it is important to have a presence and say, hey, we're still doing stuff. And the other thing too is strategic, trade shows, opportunities for people. We talked about that earlier. One of the verticals we're looking at adding to our niche, we're actually looking at doing two niches. We're doing more work with insurance brokerages. It's another opportunity to come in. We've been building brand awareness in there for a while. So going to those trade shows, right, where those insurance brokerages gather and making those relationships now so we can, establish ourselves as a persistent presence in that industry. That's another part of what we do as well.
Got it. Like many businesses, finding team members is challenging. What kinds of things are you doing to overcome that?
I mean, it's an interesting market right now, right? Like we're seeing, record layoffs from big companies that really hired aggressively during the height of the post-pandemic COVID money, PPP money. And what my industry, what I'm finding is companies are being very strategic about who they lay off in those scenarios. And I don't mean this to be a detriment, but like it's hard to find good IT talent at the highest level and cybersecurity talent. Yeah. And those guys that are like masters of their crafts, they're not going anywhere, right? Like those companies are still clawing onto this. So what I have found we have about 11 people on staff right now, and we're growing. We have another additional team out in the Philippines as well for some of our after-hour stuff. And building relationships with key areas of where these professionals network and grow. Again, I got to point to a guy I know who does this better. I'm a very big believer that there's very little that's new under the sun, right? Like you're not going to be the guy that reinvents the wheel. You might figure out how to make the wheel a little better. That's totally valid, but you're not going to be the guy that reinvents the wheel. So looking at what others are doing in your similar spaces and seeing what works and what doesn't is a great tactic. So that's what I did. And there's a guy who literally hosts in my area tech networking professional events 4 times a year. He pays for pizza. They have a valid speaker that's an expert in his field in like various areas of tech. Everyone has a great time. There's usually a little bit of beer, on the side, like some cruise. And because of that, he has built these relationships with these people. So when they're ready to move on, right? Like when they go in, guess who they're reaching out to first, right? Like before they go to the recruiter, before they go anywhere else, they're going to this guy. And so going to those events, making sure that we're known, figuring out, hey, identifying those relationships. I'll give you a great example. Our most recent system architect, who's in my world, like the top tier, think Galaxy Brain guy, right? Like I give him any kind of tech problem, he can figure out an answer. I've been talking to him about coming over to us for 2 years now. 2 years we had to maintain that relationship, and it's absolutely worth it. Why? He wasn't ready to move on. He wasn't ready to go anywhere. But I said, hey, when you're ready, you've got a place here. We know you. We love you. You've done great. You did a little consulting work for us. Maintaining that relationship was a big deal. Now I've got somebody who, I'll be quite honest, I'm not confident I could find on the open market. If I'd gone to straight, Indeed, recruiters, I don't think I would have found that guy.
Well, you know what, man? That's a perfect example of you got to nurture potential team members just like you do potential clients. It's the same thing. Like they're not This statistic is, I hate throwing the statistic out because it's not, I don't know how accurate it is, but it's between 5 to 10% of your market or less is ready to buy at any given point in time. Yep. I think the same is probably true in the job market as well, where they're just not looking, right? But if you make those connections and you just stay in touch, when they do get to that place, there's a higher likelihood that they're going to at least reach out to you, right?
Oh, absolutely, right? Like people want to go. I read somewhere, and this is true for anyone, right? Like in 100% ratio of how we make decisions, 70% is fear of loss, fear of the unknown is the reason we make a certain decision versus 30% is, hope of gain, right? Yeah. Like there is a sense of, if you're building those relationships, let them know what kind of employer you are, what kind of company culture they can expect. That really streamlines the roads of, okay, I know this guy. I've got a sense of where it would be like if I worked for him, as opposed to, I don't know the last time you went on to an open job market application, but like I remember when I applied to my last job before I went into my own business, and it was a big thing for me. It was like, I have no idea what kind of company this is. Like, I can only ask so many questions in an interview. I don't know if this is going to be a great place to work or a terrible place to work.
Yeah.
Take that equation.
And that, honestly, that kind of leads into, I think, something that a lot of people overlook from a hiring, recruiting, and retention standpoint is marketing is just as important on the recruiting side Absolutely. As it is on the client side. Not only are potential applicants looking at your website, right? And comparing your website to other people. So your front end marketing, super important, right? They're looking at your social media. They're checking you out. They're looking at what you're doing. Are you different than everybody else? Do you look the same? Is it portraying confidence?
Mm-hmm.
If not, that's going to be a problem, right? It's going to be hard to recruit.
But then nobody wants to work for a fly. Well, some people might, but most people want to work by a fly-by-night shop, right? Yeah. Like you want to know that. I mean, nothing's 100% in life, but you want to know this place is established, they're legitimate, and you can trust them with, your livelihood, right? Like you're trusting your employer with a lot. So setting that tone and establishing, hey, we're legitimate. We bring value to the industry. We have, actual depth of knowledge and expertise. We have a good reputation. Like all those things are very important when you're trying to find those candidates.
The other thing too is on the client side, I always talk about, your message and focusing your marketing message on who your ideal clients are, what pain points do they have, and what outcomes are they looking for, right? We need to focus on them. On the employee side, we should be doing the same thing, right? I mean, like, who are your ideal team members, right? What are they like? What are they looking for? What do they want? What are their aspirations? When we understand that, I mean, you probably remember this when you went onto the open job market, like how many job ads actually are drastically different? Most of them say the same damn thing.
Yeah.
Over and over again. It's really not that difficult.
It's a quantity game, not a quality game. Like they're not going for quality. They're casting their net wide. And when you're a small business, that's not the way you should go at all, because you trust a lot to each and every one of your employees, right? Like the wrong employee on your team can set you back 6-12 months easily. Yeah. They have that kind of power over your company.
It's not that hard to stand out with a different job ad. That if you know who your ideal employees are, you can put in messaging, right, that attracts those types of people and repels the ones that aren't going to be a good fit. Is that going to miraculously change your recruiting and hiring challenges? No, but it's going to make things easier. It's going to open up more doors. So it's one
of the things I do is we do get occasional people reaching out from our leads pipeline saying, hey, are you by chance hiring, right? And they'll send their resume, and you better believe, like, I look at the resume, if one strikes my fancy, I'm like, we're not now, but you know what, I'm gonna put you in a nice little folder over here. I'm gonna reach out in a couple months, check in on you, maintain that relationship, because you made the effort to reach out to me. That shows me you've got initiative. And especially if your resume makes sense. Absolutely, we're gonna start in that engagement then. You never know. Be flexible, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So what's next, man? What are your aspirations for the future,
Yeah.
Logan?
So, I mean, we've been on a ridiculous growth curve. It's been kind of honestly a little whiplash over here. So we went from $750,000 in 2021 in gross revenues to 1.7 in 2022. And based on our most recent, P&L analysis from the Q1, we're on track to close 3 million this year. So our goal right now, obviously this year we're still on that 3 million goal, but we would like to be at 5 million within a couple of years. Not because we want to make necessarily tons more money, but because we see ourselves servicing a very valid need in the market. And the more, capacity we have, the better we can serve the market. We can offer more things, we can do more things for our customers without compromising on our quality. So that's from a strategic goal as a company that we're at. Our personal goal, I'm just really invested right now in when we do cybersecurity, people eyes glaze over, right? It's not, I would say, the sexiest topic in the world.
Right.
But it has real life implications. And to give you a great example, about a year ago, I got a call from a lady who was in her mid 50s. She worked as a financial administrator for a nonprofit for the last 20 years. And long story short, a hacker managed to get on her computer, somehow managed to use her email and social media to gain a level of trust over 3 weeks, and managed to make off with her entire 401k. The whole thing. It never came back. She didn't realize until it was well beyond the part where she could reverse the wire. So you hear that kind of stuff, right? And I have them tell her I can't do anything. You need to go call the police, right? That's the kind of stuff I'm what we do makes a difference. We're keeping businesses safe. We're trying to protect their most precious assets, namely their people and their finances. I want to see us make a difference in the market. So that's what personally motivates me.
Yeah, I love it, man. So this has been great. And I appreciate you taking the time. I want to ask you one more question to close things out, which is, knowing what you know now, is there anything you would do differently?
Yes. I would say in the beginning, learning how to embrace my no. Like we talked about before, it's okay to tell people no sometimes. You need to be okay with that, because if you say yes to everyone, you're going to put yourself in a place where it's going to hurt you and them more than you would imagine. No is just the beginning. No is not a relationship ender. That's the other thing I've learned too. Just because you tell someone no doesn't mean you're severing the relationship. There's a way to say no in a way that's sorry, no, that we're not going to do that. But the relationship still maintains. You never know what comes down the road. So learning that specific skill set, if I could do that differently over again, I would have learned that first and foremost back in the beginning, and then grown from here. I learned about midway and had a lot of course correcting because of that.
Yeah, it's tough in the beginning because you want new clients, you want to grow, and so it's tough to say no.
But you're also in a place where at the beginning you can make changes to your business so much easier than you can once you grow, right? It's the difference between a nice little sailboat and a steam cruiser, right?
Yeah.
One's way more easier to steer than the other. So making those good decisions in the beginning, even if they're a little painful in the short term, and I'm not telling you gotta do what you gotta do. I get that starting out, but making those good decisions in the beginning builds a foundation that you don't have to go back and fix 3, 4, 5 years down the road because you made some bad calls. I'm a big fan. I like Chris Voss. I'm a big fan of Mike Michalowicz. If you go and read any books about entrepreneurial success, I love Mike Michalowicz's stuff. Big fan of the Pumpkin Plan. That's a great another example. I would suggest any entrepreneur take a look at either of those authors. They have great stuff.
Yeah, I love it. Where can people connect with you?
Yeah. So of course, I think you've already linked our website in the chat. Obviously, we're reachable there at any time. We also have on my LinkedIn page, we have company page stuff, but I try to give something of value every week on our LinkedIn. So if you want to connect me on LinkedIn and kind of see what we're doing and why it makes sense for the market we're in, love to see you there. Other than that, the other thing they can do, I don't think I told you this, I wrote a book a while back.
Oh, good. Congrats, man.
It's called How to Protect your Small Business from Hackers. Literally, that's the title. Look it up on Amazon Kindle. It's 99 cents. If you want something that's just easy, understand logic of things you can do to protect your business on the cybersecurity front, absolutely would steer you that way. I co-authored it. I don't get any proceeds or anything, but it's we had to give the publisher something, so it's 99 cents. But
what's it called again?
How to Protect Your Small Business from Hackers. We tried to make the title very self-explanatory.
Yes. Okay. How to protect your small business
from hackers.
From hackers. Okay, cool. We will.
Dozens of my colleagues in the industry. It's an awesome read. I'd encourage you, if you're willing to spend the 99 cents, go take a look.
Cool. So we'll make sure, and this will all be in the show notes, but tabernacle.tech is your website. And then LinkedIn is Tabernacle CRS.
Yep.
And then we'll put the link into the book, How to Protect Your Small Business from Hackers. Logan, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. It's a great interview. You could see I was feverishly taking notes. Those of you that are watching, listening, I appreciate you as well. We talked a lot about, what Logan has done up to this point to grow and continue to accelerate growth. If you want to discover which of the 9 revenue roadblocks are slowing down your growth, you can do that over at revenueroadblockscorecard.com. It takes less than 5 minutes. You'll get a customized report so you can start working on removing those roadblocks to accelerate growth today. You can also always connect with us over at rialtomarketing.com. Be happy to chat with you. You can always book a discovery call with us over there. So thank you for checking it out today. Logan, thank you. And until next time, take care.
Thanks, Tim.